Hello, I'm Claire Smith and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing an autumn fragrance tag, and this tag was created by Lizzie from Rose & Jones, and she was the one who tagged me. So this tag is basically reviewing what you think about your purchases this year, which ones you've been wearing the most, which have been your favourite fragrances, which has been the one that has surprised you the most, that kind of thing. It's just a fun, questiony kind of type tag. Because there are quite a few questions, I'm going to be quite brief with my answers, so hopefully we can keep this moving quite quickly. So let's get on with this. So before I start, I'm just going to tag a few more people to do this tag that I think will have interesting answers. So I'm going to tag Lala from La de Beauty. I'm also going to tag Abby from Abby with Love. And I'm also going to tag Francis from Happiness Sparkles. So I'd be really interested to see your answers on these questions. So just to add, if you haven't seen me before, I'm Claire Smith and I make videos all about perfume and perfume science. So if that interests you, then please consider subscribing if you haven't done already, and also please like this video if you do like this video. So let's get on with this. So the first question is your most surprising fragrance discovery of 2022. I struggle with this one. I think it's probably going to be Reminiscence Heliotrope, because I blind bought this fragrance and I remember wandering around TK Maxx wondering whether to buy this and reading reviews and thinking, wow, this could go either way, this is a bit risky. But actually, it paid off. I think really before this fragrance, I did have a few fragrances with heliotrope in it, but I didn't really realise my love for heliotrope before I bought this one. And the thing I love about this is the dry down. So the dry down is a really almondy vanilla fragrance, but it's also kind of powdery in a way as well throughout the fragrance. And it just has a sort of vintage vibe. I think heliotrope is something that has a sort of childlike innocence to it, but it's also a little bit vintage smelling in a way. And I think this fragrance helped me to realise how much I love heliotrope. And I think that, you know, that I'm just thankful to know that, because I now know that if I find a fragrance with heliotrope, then I'm probably going to love it. So Reminiscence Heliotrope is my most surprising fragrance discovery of 2022. So the second question is, which was your most worn spring fragrance? Well, I finished off quite a few different bottles of perfume in spring, so I think it must be one of those. So it was either Marc Jacobs Daisy, Illicit Flower by Jimmy Choo, Versace Vanitas, or perhaps it was Ralph Lauren's Romance. I think out of those fragrances, it's most likely to have been Daisy by Marc Jacobs, because that's just a very spring-like scent, isn't it? And it's one that I only tend to reach for in spring. So if you want to hear more about my fragrance empties, then I do have dedicated videos, so I'll link those down below in the description box. But yeah, probably Daisy. Which was your most worn summer fragrance? Well, I've finished quite a few fragrances over the summer, but I haven't talked about them in empties videos yet. But I'm going to choose one from one of the fragrances I didn't end up finishing, and that was probably the one that I wore quite a lot of the time in the evening when I get home from work. This is one that I'd spritz on to just kind of freshen up. It's sort of almost something that I use like a body spray, really. And this one is L'Eau d'Issy Floral from Issey Miyake. So this is just a very sort of uplifting, aquatic rose fragrance, a little bit green even. And yeah, it's just sort of something refreshing, really. So that's L'Eau d'Issy Floral. So the next question is, which is your most anticipated fragrance for autumn? Well, there's one that I just never wear apart from in the cooler seasons. So the one that I only wear in autumn and winter, and I honestly don't wear this very often, but when I'm in the mood for it, I just kind of get cravings for it. And that is Black Orchid by Tom Ford. So this is the one that I'm definitely going to be looking forward to wearing most, because I just don't wear it at other times of the year. So the next question is, which of the fragrances in your collection that are the most transportive? Which ones take you to a particular season just by you smelling them? And the one I'm going to pick for spring is Daisy Dream. So Daisy Dream is a fragrance, again, that I only really wear in spring and summer. It's not something I reach for in the winter because it just doesn't have that power. It doesn't have that resistance against cold weather, but it really does shine in the springtime. And this has a wisteria note in it, and it's quite distinctive. It's something that really does make me think of being in the garden, because I do have a wisteria plant in my garden that grows up the side of my house. And when I smell that smell. It just really makes me think of springtime, because you only get that plant blooming in late April, May time. So it just is very evocative of springtime. So that's Daisy Dream. The next choice is one for summer. So the one that takes me to summer just by me sniffing it is Found at Dusk by Miller Harris. So this is just a very sort of fresh, fruity, but also tomato leaf and mint fragrance. And it just makes me think of being in a garden. It's got that really sort of hot day feel about it when the air is full and about to rain. And yeah, it just takes me to summertime, British summertime, when, you know, the weather's a bit unpredictable. And, you know, you have those roasting days, but you also have those downpours. This fragrance is that in the bottle. So that's Found at Dusk by Miller Harris. My transportive fragrance for autumn is going to be Zadig & Voltaire's This Is Her. So this is a very comforting, very lactonic, creamy, milky sandalwood fragrance. And it just makes me think of snuggling in a jumper, basically. But because it also has a chestnut note in it, it just feels super appropriate for an autumn season. It's very appropriate for right now. And yeah, it's just a very comforting fragrance. I think this is like my number one snuggly fragrance. If I was going to sit on the sofa with someone and watch something on Netflix, this is definitely the fragrance that I would choose. So that's Zadig & Voltaire, This Is Her. And my most transportive fragrance for winter is La Petite Robe Noire Black Perfecto by Guerlain. So this fragrance, I think, makes me think of wintertime because I quite often wear leather boots in winter, and this fragrance has leather in it. I think this fragrance as well also makes me think of getting ready to go out. You know, if you're going to a pub or something, you're going to meet someone special, and you put your makeup on and dressing up. It's just got a very sort of dressed up feel about it. I think another thing about this fragrance that really makes me think of winter is that it's got licorice in it. Licorice is something that I associate with kind of bonfire night and Christmas time. And yeah, this one is just winter in a bottle for me. So that's La Petite Robe Noire Black Perfecto. The next question is, which is your most gothic scent for Halloween? So if I'm not going to repeat myself, I'm probably going to choose Sinner by Kat Von D. So this is a plum fragrance with a little bit of jasmine, but mainly just a ton of patchouli. And this fragrance really makes me think of Midnight Poison. So I think this one is really entirely appropriate for Halloween. I tend to avoid talking about Halloween because I always feel like it overshadows bonfire night, and I really love bonfire night. But yeah, I might even do a Halloween video this year. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. So yeah, that's my choice for Halloween. Sinner by Kat Von D. The next category is your most ghosted fragrance. And by ghosted, they mean the one that you actually do quite love, but you just don't tend to wear. And I'm going to choose Tom Ford's Orchid Soleil for that one because I love this fragrance. It makes me think of being at home. It makes me think of my dad's farm. It makes me think of harvest time. It makes me think of holidays. But I know this is discontinued and I know that I have so little left. I think I've got about that much left. And I know once this is gone, I'm not going to be able to buy any more because if you look at how much these bottles are going for, they're going for hundreds of pounds. And I just can't see myself buying another bottle. So I know that if I use this up, I'm never going to smell this again. But I do truly love this fragrance and I would love to wear it more, but I have kind of ghosted it for that reason. So that's my ghosted fragrance, Tom Ford's Orchid Soleil. So the next question is, which fragrance are you planning on decluttering next? Well, I don't really know actually. I feel like I should try this one a bit more, but I really don't feel like it's me. This one is Kayali's Eden Juicy Apple 01, and I won this fragrance. It's not like I bought this and I've made a mistake. It's just that it's just not for me. I just don't really like apple in fragrances. I think that's it. And it also sort of smells quite like a lot of other fragrances to me. This isn't a very unique fragrance. I've definitely smelt this kind of thing before. It's something that I don't think I would have ever bought given how this smells. So that's one that might be decluttered. Another one is C by Giorgio Armani. So I've looked back in my records and I've worn this once this year, and I just know that this fragrance makes me feel old. Every time I wear this fragrance, I just feel older than I am. And I don't think fragrances should do that to you, should they? They should make you feel rejuvenated and like you're happy to be wearing something. And this one just, I don't know, there's something in this that just makes me think, no, I don't want to wear this. I hardly ever reach for this. So that could be going. That's C by Giorgio Armani. The next question is, which is your next planned perfume purchase? Well, this isn't a very good question for me really, because I'm quite an opportunistic kind of purchaser. I am trying to be better with having wish lists and actually planning my purchasing rather than just randomly buying things. And I think the one that I have been thinking about for a long time but I haven't sniffed, but I've been told that it's really good, is the Gris Mauve flanker of the heliotrope one from Reminiscence. And I'd really like to try that one. I'd really like to know how that smells, and I just really want to experience a marshmallow fragrance as well. So I've not really smelled anything with marshmallow in it. So yeah, that one, Gris Mauve by Reminiscence. The next question is, which is the most desired fragrance on your wish list? Well, I think because we're going into the winter and because I've been wearing it a little bit recently, it's Coffee Addict by Theodoros Kalatinis. So I think that one, I don't know, it's got some kind of hold over me, but I keep looking at it on the website and I keep thinking, can I spend 45 euros on this and then spend 22 euros on shipping? It just seems ridiculous. They need to get a UK distributor, because that kind of price for shipping is totally just not on for me. If I were buying 2 or 3 bottles and I wanted different bottles of their fragrances, I'd be happier spending that much on shipping. But as a proportion of the price, spending nearly half again just to have something posted to me feels ridiculous. And that's why I haven't bought it. But I really do love Coffee Addict and I can see myself buying it in future. So Theodoros Kalatinis, Coffee Addict. So the next question is, which has been the most enjoyable release of 2022 so far? Actually, from a designer point of view, 2022 hasn't been good, has it? There's been very few fragrances that I've thought, wow, I really want that one after smelling them. I think probably the best that I've smelled from the designer releases is probably Musk Noir Rose by Narciso Rodriguez. Probably closely followed by Dropped Issy Eau Fraiche, but I actually don't like Eau Fraiche as much as I like Dropped Issy. But those two are really quite nice, and I do quite like the Lumiere flanker of Le Parfum as well. But again, all those fragrances are all quite similar in the Le Parfum range, and I ultimately prefer in white. So yeah, just not a great year really for 2022 for designer perfume releases. The next question is, which is the most disappointing release of 2022? Well, there's several to choose from here, aren't there? So I think really the one that really stands out for a lot of people is Viktor and Rolf's Good Fortune, because you just expect more, don't you, of Viktor and Rolf? I know I did. From an individual, new pillar fragrance, I expected a bit more. I think the other ones that stand out for me are Coral Fantasy. I thought that was dreadful, by Valentino Donna, Born in Roma, Coral Fantasy. I'd say Fame as well by Paco Rabanne was a bit of a letdown, but I didn't really expect that much from it. And Paradox, it's pleasant. It's kind of nice in a way, but it just doesn't really stand out from the rest of the fragrances on the market right now. So yeah, I'd put that one in a little bit disappointing. I also didn't really like Coach Wild Rose either, but that's just me because I don't really like that kind of Baccarat Rouge thing that's going on in the dry down. So yeah, there's quite a lot of disappointing releases really in 2022. Another one I didn't really like is Théo Carbonell's Peau Salée, which I won a sample of. I was really truly disappointed with that one in the end. There were points at which I quite liked it, but then I just started smelling horrible things like rubber in it, and yeah, it just put me off totally, because I've loved a lot of Théo Carbonell fragrances that I've tried. In fact, all of the other ones that I've tried I've loved. But that one I couldn't get with. So that's probably the most disappointing, because I really thought that would be fantastic. And the final question is, which is your favourite fragrance purchase of 2022? And actually it's quite hard for me to choose. I think it's either Reminiscence Heliotrope or it's Miller Harris Found at Dusk, because those two I have worn quite a lot and I've had a lot of enjoyment out of them. And yeah, they were just kind of unexpected things. They're things that I just bought because I was out and about and I saw them on a deal and got curious and wondered what they smelt like, and they were just lucky blind buys basically. Those two are definitely two that I've loved a lot and worn a lot this year. So that's the final question in this tag video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, then please press the like button, and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And please let me know which perfumes would you answer these questions with? Which have been your most exciting fragrance discoveries in 2022 so far? I'd love to hear your answers. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.